Good evening, everyone. Welcome to iAsia News's special program on local elections. Today, we have Ram Majji with us. My name is Gopal Ponangi. I'll be your host. And Ram Majji is running for Frisco City Council, Place 5. So, Ram, welcome to the program. How is it going?
Thanks, Gopal. First of all, I want to thank iAsia and then also Gopal, you for taking time, out of your busy schedule and then arranging this interview. So things are going great. I mean, I just came out of the polling booth and obviously, it's 7 to 7. So I just came out and I'm actually attending your interview. Again,
Perfect.
Thank you for the opportunity. Okay.
Of course. You deserve everything. And listeners, as you may be aware, elections are on the way. There are all types of elections happening, national level, presidential elections, state level, county level, so many types. But, one of the things that's most important to each and every one of us is the local election, the school district and then the city council, because those are the ones that impact us directly. I do not want to discount the national level and other politics, but what definitely impacts us is what's happening in our neighborhood. So please pay more attention, especially in the ballot paper. The local elections details are all the way to the end. So make sure that you spend a couple of minutes and ensure you go all the way down and learn about the people who are running, and then vote wisely. And coming back to the elections are already on the way. They are from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. in most places. I think on Sunday it is until from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. But the 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. are happening until next Friday. So each and every one of you, if you have not already voted, make sure you vote. And then if you have your friends who have not voted, make sure that they vote too. And coming to the numbers, Ram, so how is it going? I believe the response is pretty huge.
Yeah, that is true. So this is something we have never seen in the history, right? So if you look at the city election or an ISD election, right, we have around 7 to 8,000 people approximately come in for voting. But with this national election this time, because of the COVID, our elections also got clubbed with the national elections, which is November. So far, if I'm not mistaken, from the data I was looking at from the city, is that we had almost 35,000 between Denton and Collin already casted their ballot for the city election. So these are all the people who came from the city of Frisco and they actually voted. So 35,000 for an early voting is a very huge number. And we don't know if they actually voted for the city or not, because city and then ISD is on the last page. But at least the turnout is very, very high, and we're expecting more people to come in because we still have almost 2 weeks of early voting to go.
Yep. And then how about for people who have just tuned in, this is Gopal Ponangi, your host, and then I'm interviewing Ram Majji. He is running for the Frisco City Council, Place 5. And Ram, this has been the longest stretch, right? The nominations have ended in January, and then the elections are happening in October, November. So how do you feel about this long stretch?
So it is a long, because especially for a city election, normally the candidates will start coming in around like January, and after the filing is done, they have 2 or 3 months to campaign. But in my case, I actually announced last year in October, and we went aggressively doing campaign and everything till January. But after January, because of the COVID, we went into a lockdown situation. So after the lockdown is done, now we are into a new world. We don't know what to expect and what not to expect. So we did a lot of virtual meet and greets and everything. And now we started meeting people like before the election, and all the forums were virtual. So I feel pretty good. I feel pretty strong. We are out there more than anybody else, and we are actually campaigning. We're getting a lot of volunteers. So I would say I'm the only candidate where people or all the volunteers are coming in with like help. They're just helping. So basically they're coming out and they're aggressively helping. So honestly, I feel very pumped up. Even though it's a long stretch, it could be tiring, but we're not giving up. We're going to go all the way to the last day of the election. So
awesome. You got the right spirit, Ram.
Yeah.
And then for some of our listeners who do not know much about you. So why don't you share a little bit about yourself and your background?
Sure, no, absolutely. So obviously, everybody, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Ram Majji. I am running for the Frisco City Council Place 5, which is an open seat. So I've been a Frisco resident for over 20 years, lived just in Frisco. And I was actually, I do a lot of nonprofits also. So I was part of the board of directors for Everyone Eats, which actually donated over 300,000 meals after the lockdown of the COVID started. And we did a lot of free testing. We donated the cards and everything. And apart from that, I was also part of the Frisco Citizens Bonds Committee. Frisco Citizens Bonds Committee is very critical because it sets the priorities, financial priorities for the city. So the city came up with 500 million, and we actually cut it down to 345 million from a budgeting perspective. I was also part of the Frisco ISD forward for the Frisco ISD Bonds Committee, bonds elections, and then the TRE. So I was working both on the city side and also on the ISD side. And apart from that, I from a professional perspective, I run a Salesforce.com practice. I'm also a local entrepreneur. So at a very high level, again, both my kids go to Frisco ISD. Obviously, Gopal, you're on the board of trustee, and we had a proud moment when you won last time. So my kids both go to Frisco ISD, and I'm super proud of my wife. She's been a federal employee for 16 years. So to me, I've been I am actually deeply rooted in Frisco for a long time, and then we want to continue to serve the community.
Perfect. Such an awesome resume, Ram. I'm very impressed. I really like the spirit with which you work and then work towards our community. So that's really very nice. Now, you told so many things. You told about your corporate life. You told about your nonprofit. You told about the work you've done for the Frisco ISD, and then so many other things. So, of all these things, why did you choose to run for the city? What's the reason?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, when I moved to Frisco like 20 years back, right? My wife and I recently married at the time, and we wanted to live in a place and start our family, right? Like all newlyweds, we did not have the money, and we have big goals. But Frisco has been good for us. It allowed us to achieve the American dream. We were able to balance our professional career along with raising kids, participating in the community. Family is the most important thing in my life. Everything I do now is to create opportunities for the children to be successful. So it is important for me that Frisco continues to be an attractive option for new families moving to Frisco. So, but as a community, we face a lot of challenges, right? Like, for example, as a Frisco city, we want to be number one. Consistent leadership, commitment to conservative values has been key to success for our city. So, but also Frisco has become incredibly diverse, right? We have so many diverse communities moving into Frisco, but however, our leadership doesn't reflect that diversity. So I'm not about diversity of race. I'm looking at diversity of thought. So as a community, the reason I'm running is I want to make sure we have lower taxes, we have better traffic, more local jobs, better educational opportunities, and also sense of security. That's why I've decided to run for the office, because Frisco residents deserve a candidate who will listen to them, who will understand their needs, and address the concerns regardless of the age, income, race, religion, or political affiliation. So that is why I'm running for the city of Frisco.
Very nice, very nice. And very quickly, another thing that is resounding with me is that Frisco was named one of the best cities in the year 2018 by the Money magazine. Mm-hmm. And Frisco is leading in so many things. So what exactly will you be bringing to the table, especially from the jobs and other situation standpoint? What exactly will you be contributing from your side?
So as a city, right? I mean, we are growing. We are number one city, and there's a lot of good stuff coming into city of Frisco, right? So, definitely we have PGA coming in. We have a lot of sports teams coming in and everything else. But one thing we are lacking at the Frisco is local jobs. Many people who live in Frisco, they can afford to live in Frisco, but they have to go and work outside of Frisco. So what I'm looking for is making sure that I create those local jobs. Local jobs is something I'm really looking for from a key number one priority. Because once we create more local jobs, then there's going to be reduced the travel for the residents who live in Frisco. Indirectly, it also going to impact the traffic, right? So we want to make sure that if people are living in Frisco, working in Frisco, then we can see that the traffic is also going to be reduced, because we have seen during the pandemic what happened is that during the pandemic lockdown, people were working from home. So basically, you can see that the traffic was less. So that's what I want to create, is making sure that we have local job, making sure that we enable local people to open local businesses in Frisco. And then apart from that, one of the platform I'm looking for is making sure that we have lower taxes. Frisco has been consistent from a tax perspective. We want to continue to make sure that the taxes are lowered. For that, what we have to do is we have to bring in more local jobs, because right now 75% of the property taxes burden is on the residents, 25% is on the commercial. So we want to balance that out, so that way people living in Frisco, they don't have to pay more taxes year to year, right? At least we can come to a threshold where it becomes stable. So again, my 5 platform pillars are definitely lower taxes, public safety is very important, local jobs, educational partnerships, and apart from that, making sure that we have a strong economy for the city of Frisco. So that's my pillars I'm running for city of Frisco,
Very impressive. And one of the things, whenever the discussion about elections come, and then the candidates come, or whenever the issues that the population, that the people are facing, couple of things that always come to mind, and they are about the transportation and also the infrastructure. So what do you think are the concerns, and then what is your plan to fix them?
Yeah, so definitely, if you look at it, city transformation, right, transportation and also infrastructure concerns. So like any city, right, Frisco faces a number of challenges and opportunities as we grow. So one of them is traffic is always a major concern for residents, right? Frisco has learned from neighboring cities. We have been very proactive about designing a traffic management system to address our rapid growth. Our major roadways are already built to maximum capacity, with many intersections containing almost 20 lanes for traffic. But we can't solve the problem with construction alone, right? Like basically, what we really have to do is we need to make sure that we are actually practicing the best traffic management practices, and also making sure that we're applying the technology. We're working closely with the best traffic engineers in the city of Frisco, and also looking at alternative routing. I mean, we can say that, like, for example, we have Legacy Road. There's a lot of traffic. So what I would be looking at is are we looking at alternative routing, right? We have many cities where people come in from north, driving from Prosper and everywhere else, and they're also taking Frisco as the bypass road. They don't stop in Frisco. So what we really want to look at is how can we be creative? How can we actually do these guided traffic, so that way it will help from a traffic perspective, right? So I'm looking at, again, there is no real solution for that one, but there are things we could do. If we can create more local jobs, if we can actually do alternative routes within Frisco, I think all these things will contribute to reduce the traffic, which is one of the major issues we are having. So again, I really want to work closely with our traffic engineers, because city has phenomenal employees. They have been doing a great job. So we want to work with them, and we want to make sure that we bring the best. And also, city has done a great job by just promoting Jason Cooley. He became the Chief Innovation Officer. To me, that is very important, because he will start thinking from a smart cities perspective, and that actually can contribute to making sure how we can actually tackle this traffic situation. So that's what I'm looking at from a traffic perspective,
Perfect. So Ram, you spoke about taxes, you spoke about infrastructure, you spoke about traffic, you spoke about jobs. So what do you think is the biggest concern, or what do you think is the top thing that that needs to be addressed, and then how are you going to address it?
Sure, absolutely. So Gopal, you and me, we know, we always talk to residents, right? So we talk to residents over the years, and we learned the priorities are based on individual circumstances, right? It is important for voters to know that the elected officials are representing the concerns equally, right? However, there are few issues that top the list. So although traffic is a number one issue, while traffic seems to be a greatest source of frustration for residents, I believe that it's a symptom of the real issue. So to me, again, I go back to Frisco is lacking local jobs. There is an imbalance between property values and also income opportunities. Many residents, again, living here have to find an employment outside of the Frisco, and they can, because if they cannot find that high-tech jobs or high-paying jobs in Frisco, to kind of like sustain that paying high property taxes. So this is also true for our neighbors in the north, right? Everybody is traveling through Frisco, and then they don't stop in Frisco, right? They're just using it as a bypass. So what I really want to make sure is that Frisco definitely is lacking local jobs. Let's enable major corporations. Let's bring in small businesses. Let's also help growing businesses. Let's bring in local smart companies. In all that stuff, what happens is we are creating more employment in Frisco. That means like the north neighbors from Prosper will also stop in Frisco. People living in Frisco at least can work in Frisco, some of them. And all these things will contribute to making sure that we are solving the biggest issue, which is making sure that we have more local jobs.
Perfect. And then Ram, you've helped several candidates before. You've been a poll greeter for several
Yes.
other candidates. You've done a lot of block walking for others. You organized meet and greet for others. So you did a lot for others. So how do you feel doing it for yourself now? Yourself being a candidate and then doing all these things. How do you feel it?
I'm actually excited. I'm also pumped up, right? I want to make sure that we do the right thing for the city. But also, helping others versus when you're running, it's a lot of difference, right? Because when you're helping others, you're actually picking your own time. You're actually volunteering it. Although, I work hard for other candidates, make sure they were winning. But now, since it's my campaign, I really have to be very involved. Like, for example, I have to make sure that I'm running a very positive campaign. I have like the marketing team making sure that they're releasing the positive messaging. And then if there's any comments made on the Facebook, right, I have to make sure I'm involved on that one. I'm involved on the merchandise. We are ordering a lot of t-shirts. We have to make sure the flyers, we have to make sure all the graphics are coming through very well. So there is a lot of work involved in the campaign, but I am very excited that because I have a lot of mentors who are kind of giving me a lot of guidance. Obviously my treasurer, Rick Fletcher, he has been phenomenal and, great support. And I have like a strong team where they're actually kind of looking at all these, making sure that we are actually running a very positive campaign. So it's a total different thing. When you're running your own campaign, it is a totally different thing. When you're helping somebody, it is a totally different thing. Both of them have their own challenges, but again, end of the day, I think if we take it as a very positive and if you run a positive campaign, I think you'll be very happy. So that's what I'm trying to do. And that's why I'm not really stressed out, because I'm just having a lot of fun right now.
Perfect. I really applaud you. You put your neck out and then, you want to serve the community. And when it comes to serving the community, one of the important things is making yourself available, accessible to the community members. So how can anyone have access to you? And then how accessible are you? And then what have you done in the past? And then, what will you do in the future from making yourself available to the community?
Sure. I mean, like definitely in the past also, if anybody needed anything, right? For example, if there was a traffic light situation, or if there is a speed bumps issues, like in some of the communities, right? Or if there's a crime issue, since we have built a lot of these relationships helping other candidates for the election, we have like that close connection with different departments in the city of Frisco. And we can actually help these citizens, even though you're not elected or even if you're a volunteer. I think that building those relationships with different city departments is very critical. And I would still be doing the same because we have done that in the past. In future also, I want to be available for people. I want to be reasonable. I want to make sure that if there's any trouble for them, we actually try to connect them with the right departments in the city of Frisco. And that connecting is going to be very key. I still want to continue to do that. I want to be in front of the people. I want to talk to the people. And definitely my website is ramforfrisco.com. My email address is ram@ramforfrisco.com. And I'm available. I mean, I'm on the social media. I mean, I have my phone number is 972-746-5327. You guys can call me and I'm actually pretty responsive on those. So I want to continue to do that, Gopal, honestly, like whatever I've been doing, I still want to do. But at an elected official level, I think you get more exposure and you can help more people. That's how I'm looking at it,
Yeah, definitely, Ram. I mean, based on the work you've done, you organized some cricket chaining, things like that,
Yes.
right? And then, you've been part of the Frisco 101, and then you've been part of the co-chair for the PAC for FISD. And, you've been involved in, helping so many people with respect to the various situations, whether it is traffic accident or anything like that. So all of these things, I think, have definitely, encourage you to, run for this office. I wish you good luck. And then, once again, listeners, if you have not voted yet, please go out and then vote. Voting is on. It's from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on all days from now until Friday, except Sunday, which is from 1 a.m. to 6 p.m. But again, the timings may change. And also, as I said earlier, the local elections are very, very important. They are the ones that will have an impact on you directly. So it's very important that you are educated about what's happening locally. And then, Ram, I applaud you for coming out. It's a very hectic schedule, right? Morning 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You're a poll
Yes.
booth. And then after that, you're out here coming and speaking to me and the community. So I really appreciate that. I wish you good luck, and we can close this with any final words from your side.
No, absolutely. First of all, I really want to thank iAsia, right? Because for me to give the opportunity, and Gopal, you're taking time to come out and talk and educating the voters. To me, it's very important. I think the closing thing I want to say is people need to go out and vote. We are in a hard times right now, economic hard time. I mean, economy is hard time. We have people lost jobs, and we are having a lot of these pandemic issues. I think it's very important that we need to go out and vote. Please go out and vote and go to the last page and make sure you're voting for the city, because city elections directly impact your livelihood, like whether it's taxes or whether it's actually public safety or whether it's traffic. All these things are direct impact. So it's very important that you vote in the city. And thank you so much for the opportunity again, Gopal, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye.